Hello, hello everyone. It's Angie coming on to do part 3 of our Bee Journal 100 subscriber giveaway video process. We are going to jump right into this where we left off yesterday. We had chosen and went over our papers for our signatures, and we had put our cover, our front piece on there. We did the tie along with the book corners. So yeah, we are going to do the signatures, get those inputted in today, and get started on decorating. Okay, so what I did prior to video is I just gave the cover a little press to get a nice guideline as to where exactly the middle is, as you can see. And then I went and used a ruler, and from that guide in the middle, I just did a 1/4 of an inch from either side and put a little dot with the pen right there, and those are going to be my marks where we're going to make the holes to put the signatures in. Okay, so then from there all I need to do is, well, we need to align our papers, so make sure we've got them exactly the way, sitting exactly the way we want, which they're all pretty much the same size excluding the doily and the envelopes. Let me just double check those. And you just want to make sure each one, if they're all the same height, then you're fine. But if they're different sizes, then you want to just kind of make sure they're sitting exactly where you want them. Like this one, this envelope page, we want to just kind of center that right in the middle, and then get our doily and get that pretty much centered right in the middle. Just check your positioning. Once you have those in, then you want to just give them a little tap, make sure they're good and down and firm in the middle, as firm as you can get them, as close to one another as you can. You don't want a whole lot of gap, because that's when you're going to come into a problem with your holes kind of shifting, and then your pages shift, and then when you put your signature in, you're going to have a misalignment. So just make sure they're really, really snug. You can use your ruler if you want, and kind of give it a little press, however you want to do it. I usually just kind of hold them and give it a little tap like that. Okay, so then once we feel comfortable where we have our pages nice and tight, all I'm going to do, like I said, I made those holes, those little pin marks. So then I just want to figure out the distance here. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Where these pages are going to sit, there's even distance from the top and the bottom. Okay, so I just want to kind of get a little guide. And once I feel comfortable there, I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm just going to put a little notch line right where those pen marks are. That's going to be my guide for, oops, and actually that's off a little bit. And I'm going to put a little notch right there. See if you guys can see that. See the little marks? Okay. And I do have an awl, but I really don't like using that because it's kind of short. So I just use my pokey tools, and they're different size holes. So I just get the large one. And I've got my clamps. And sometimes if you want, you can clamp your pages. If you've done it for a long time and you feel pretty comfortable doing it without clamping, that's fine as well. Totally up to you. I usually will clamp one side. And when you clamp them, you want to make sure your papers are up, not flattened out. Okay? And then actually, I'm going to do it, I think, now that I think about it, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Normally what I would do is I would reverse the papers and poke them, but I'm going to try something a little different with you guys today. And what I'm going to do, let me reclamp one side. I'm going to measure the distance. And that's 1 1/4. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come into the middle and I'm going to mark my holes on the inside. And it's 1 1/4 inches. Let me double check that. I'm not too confident with my figure there. 1 1/4 from this end. One 1/4, and then the center is at 4 1/4. Okay. See, I almost had that off. Okay. So let me recenter my pages. It shifted on me just a bit. Okay. So we are going to come into 1 1/4. 4 1/4. I'm sorry, that's our center point. Sorry, I'm quiet when I'm concentrating. Okay, so we're going to come into 4 1/4, and I'm going to put a little dot right there. That's our center. And I'm going to come in at 1 1/4 from this end. I can see what I'm doing. The lighting is not the best at this time of day. I should have started this sooner. Okay, 1 1/4 and 1 1/4. Okay, there we go. Now those should match the holes for the most part that I made on the outside. Okay, so I feel pretty comfortable with just clamping them one time, right, and give it one little clamp, and taking my pokey tool and keeping your pages folded and giving it a firm, straight poke right through. And my measurement was good because I poked right on the hole where I marked it. Okay. Now, so the papers don't move, what I can do is I can leave that in there and grab another one and give the next hole a poke. Close my pages, give it a pinch, and give it a straight poke all the way through. Okay, and then come to the other side and do the same thing. And give it a poke. Okay, and we're through. Now that I'm just going to give it a little, just to kind of loosen those pages up just a bit, because that is a little smaller. Okay, go all the way through. And this one's a little bit larger hole, so I'm going to go back through with this one. So make sure we have enough room with our twine. Now it's your choice as to what type of thread you use. You can use embroidery twine. You can use different types of floss. I'm using a kind of it's a thin twine. So I'm going to be using that for my choice of securing these down. And they normally say use 3 times the length of your journal. So like 1, 2, 3, and that should be enough. But what I come to find over the course of doing journals is that's even kind of too much as it is, and I like to scrimp and save as much as I can. So what I do is you just get a large needle, thread it, and I just thread one end and keep the other end on the spool, and then I can cut it right where I need it. Okay, start in the middle. So let's see, find our middle hole there, and we're going to come through. Oops, see what I forgot, guys? Need my pokey tool, and then I need to poke through these holes here. And I'm just going to give it a little poke. And actually I could just do it all at once because it's a pretty thin fabric and the felt, it kind of easily goes through. So, and it's not so difficult going through the first time. It's coming back through the second time is when it gets a little challenging because you can't always find your hole. But we're gonna see what we can do. Usually it does pretty easily, but always when you're on camera, that's when you come into problems. But we're gonna find out. So let's see. And I have some pliers here in case I need extra help pulling it through. Sometimes when you pull it through, it can be a little challenging on your fingers and gripping. Okay, so we're going to do the left side first. So now I'm going to come back through. So I can see that hole. Sometimes you have to give it a little poke so you can see it. There we go. Okay. Now we got to come back through, going through this way and coming back through the opposite way there. So let's see if we can do that fairly easily. Sorry, I'm gonna have to kind of turn this so I can see. May not be exactly in frame. Okay, that wasn't too bad. As long as all the other ones go through that easily, we'll be doing good. Okay, now we're going to come back up, all the way up to the top hole. We're going to give it a little more pull. Okay, all the way up to the top hole. And go back out. Okay. There we go. Get that pull. And we're good. Okay. Now we have to go back in through the center where we started. And that's usually the most difficult one to get in, back in. But I'm sure we can do it just fine. All right. So I'm going to do it in pieces here. I'm going to go through the fabric. And once I see my needle, then I'm going to find the center where I need to go in through the center there. Okay, now the key is when you're coming back in, see how where we started? This piece is on this side and that's our center. We want to come back up on the other side so when we tie our knot, we'll be able to reinforce that center. Okay, and that's it. Look at there, guys. Now you want to decide how long you want your ends. If you want to have little charms and dangly pieces down on the ends, then you want to give it extra for that, but I'm not going to do that, so we can have our ends relatively short. So let me get this snug. And you want to pull on your ends. Okay, and I can cut it off. Give yourself enough room for tying. Okay, Got a little buckle in there, got a little bit too tight. So just loosen that up just, you want it snug, but you don't want it so tight where it's gonna buckle like I just did. So we'll just loosen that back up just a bit and give it a double knot. If you want to tighten a bow, you can do a bow, your choice. And give it a couple double knot, nice and secure, and there we go. And I'm just going to leave it plain, just like that. And there we go. We've got our first signature right there. And you want it snug and secure. You want it, but not too tight to where it's buckling. And usually the only time you get a buckle is when you're working with fabric. When you're working with a hardcover paperback, usually you're using like a chipboard or, you know, something like that, so that you won't have that problem. Okay, we're on to the next one, guys. Okay, so now we're going to use our other holes for guidelines. So I'm going to come through with my pokey tool, and I'm sorry for the moment if I'm off camera, but I need to be able to see, and this lighting isn't the best, like I said, this time of day, so I may be out of view here for a minute. So I'm going to poke through the fabric, and then I'm going to come and we're going to do the same process on this one. Okay, so that one was the... Okay, so this one is this way. Make sure we got everything directional the way we want it. And I think there's no pages that we really need to worry about too much. Other than maybe the eagle. I don't know, do we want the eagle to be looking this way or this way? I guess it doesn't really matter. Let me see which way we have our envelope going. We have our envelope on this side, so maybe we should reverse it. And on this one have, and I think I already do, have it going this way. Even though those pages are upside down, but we're going to collage over that anyway, so that's not a problem. And then determine how we want our eagle to sit. That's fine. I think that looks good. Okay, so we gotta tap our papers, get those down nice and smooth, snug. Everything's looking good. Okay, I can take that clamp off. So we want to do the same markings. Come into the center. Get our ruler. And I may double check myself more than once or more than twice, but it never hurts to do that. I just always want to make sure everything's good and even and accurate as possible. Where's my pencil? And we're going to do the same markings. We're going to come in and we're going to do 4 1/4. Oop, got it off just a hair. Okay, come back in. Okay, mark 4 1/4. And then it was 1 1/4 from that end, and 1 1/4 from this end. So 1. And I feel like I need to move that over so it gets grasped that doily, which I think I do. I need to come down this way just a bit. Maybe 1/8 of an inch. Okay, let me do that over. Okay, so 1 1/4, it's right there. And 1 1/4 is, actually it's going to be right on that line. We may have to, because of that scalloped edge, we may come into a little bit of problem, but we can fix that. And 4 1/4 is our center point. Okay, this is taking a little longer than I anticipated, but I just want to make sure it's right. Okay, everything's snug. Grab my clasp again, clamp my papers. Okay, and in we go. And give it a poke all the way through. Okay, now we're going to grab the next one. Where's my other pokey tool? Oh, goodness gracious. Snakey would have bit me. Okay, get that mark and give it a poke. And I'm just going to give it a little turn, because that hole is smaller. And on the next one, I'm going to give it a poke. Give it a couple turns. Okay. And we are good. Okay, I've got my needle threaded already. We're going to do the exact same thing. We can move that now. We're going to come in through the middle, start in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and pull that through. Okay. I'm going to set that down for a second so I can get it through here. Okay, come back through the other end. Okay, let me see if I can get back in frame a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. I just went through the middle hole, came back up through one of the ends, and now I'm going to go back in through the signature holes. Okay, and we're in. Okay, that's not bad at all. Got a tug. Okay, now we're going to go all the way down, back into the other end. I'm just keeping a hold of all my pages. Okay, and back out through the last third hole. Okay, now we're going to pull that snugly a little bit. Leave it open enough so we can see our holes. Next, now we have to come back through the middle hole, back in, our last one. And we can do it piece by piece, just like that. Find my center. And back through. Okay, good. Now when we come back through, again, make sure one is on one side and your other twine or whatever you're using is on the other side. Okay, then we can give that a snip and take the needle off. Set that off to the side for a minute. And now we're going to make sure it's nice and snug. Okay, see here? See all that looseness? So we got to get all that tight to where it's nice and snug like that one. Okay? So we just come in, pull it. Make sure it's snug. And there we go. Okay, and we can cut it. This one a little bit too long. And give it a double knot. Just one. And two. There we go. me see how long I left these so they'll both be the same. Okay, right about to the middle. So we'll do the same. So they're right about there and there. There we go. And we have our 2 signatures in, guys. And look at that. How perfect. Doesn't get any better. Look at that. Look at that. Now, if we want to, we can go a step further. That's what you just call a normal binding method. If you wanted to come back through with some lace or some trim, and we may still do that. Maybe I could get it. Maybe we'll get a piece of crocheted trim and come back over there and cover that. But there's nothing wrong with that at all. Look at that. Perfect. Just perfect. Okay. Nice. And they meet up at the ends. Look at that. Beautiful. All right. I'm glad that went nice and smoothly. So let's get started and see if we can get a little decorating done. I didn't look at the time. Just let me take a peek. Excuse me. And we only have about 5 minutes left. So what can we do really quick? I can talk about the pieces I chose to work with. And you'll be seeing me flip through these quite a lot through the rest of the videos and getting this decorated. I had a digital here. I cut it down to fit this piece, to fit the envelope for measuring. I got that. I got a variety of bee ephemera pieces that we'll be using for the tags and the decorating, just a wide variety of bee themed pieces. I grabbed a few leaves and plant pieces that we can tie in there, because where there's bees, there's going to be plants and foliage and stuff like that. So I grabbed a few of those, and if I need more, I can always grab more. And then just grabbed one tag, but I have plenty of those. If I choose to use more of those, I can grab more. Here's some more of those. And again, various pieces to work with. Anything to do with bees and honey and all that good stuff. Oh, maybe we can get this done real quick. This is a digital that I had of a giant bee. Isn't that cool? And it's too big to go on a page, but it got to thinking, I was like, what if I fold that in half and we put it on one of the pages? I thought that would be so cool. I don't think it would look good necessarily. Oh, I'm probably out of frame a little bit, aren't I? Let me move up. I don't think it necessarily look good on the graph paper because that's green. Oh, I like that, because the black ties in with that page. Let me see how it'll look on. Well, it looks good on the coffee. But those pages are more for writing. I was thinking we'll do majority of our decorating on these pages. So let me see how it'll look on there. Not bad, because of the, you know, where there are bees, the bees going to land on the plants and such. But I kind of like this. So let's start there. Maybe we can get this done real quick. Let me hurry and then we're going to call it a day. Let me grab a blank piece of book page for gluing. And I thought, yeah, I think I like that. Let's glue this down. Hopefully I won't cut off any, guys. Okay, I'm going to line that right up at the edge. And then we're going to, no, that's not going to work. And I think I could just use a glue stick on this, just because it's copy paper to basically just regular paper. I think I want it right about there. And I'm just going to put this down, and then I'll go back and glue up the ends with some wet glue if I need it. Okay, make sure that's down. Okay, well, we're going to stop there. I can glue these little bits off camera because I don't want this to cut off on us, guys. But that's how it's going to look, and then we'll finish up with some other decorating when we come back tomorrow. And there's that side. Isn't that neat? I love that. I love that idea. Okay, so I'm going to just off camera, I'm going to get him secured down really good, and I'll figure out what other elements we want to use on the rest of this page, and we'll finish up tomorrow, okay? I know we didn't get a whole lot done today, but the hard part is over. The cover and the signatures sewn in are the hard part. The decorating is going to go really quickly, okay? Until tomorrow, thank you, God bless. Keep in mind, we're working on this journal to get to 100 subscribers. Once I have 100 subscribers, I will be giving this journal, completed journal, away to one lucky winner. Okay, so look at part 1 or part 2 if you want to know how to get an entry into that drawing. And until tomorrow, God bless. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you very much. Bye-bye.